Hey guys, Wyatt Claypool here. I feel like what we are seeing right now with the federal Liberal government is the long goodbye that started taking place for Justin Trudeau after the 2021 election. I think everyone knows that they're not going to get any better than they've already been, and they've not been very good up to this point. It's actually gotten so apparent to Canadians that something happened that I really wasn't expecting to at least happen yet, and that is Prime Minister Mark Carney's approval rating actually dropping below 50%. Now, he's not on net disapproved of. If you combined his approval and his disapproval, he is still at a positive rating. But I assumed he was actually going to be able to maintain over 50% in most of the pollsters, maybe up until the midway through 2026 or maybe even into 2027. The thing with Mark Carney is that he's extremely boring. It's hard to hate a guy who's as boring as he is. But check this out. This is from a Leger poll. And by the way, Leger just released some numbers that were actually pretty favorable to the Liberals, to the point where a lot of people said they probably need to redo some of this stuff. Like I think their BC sample for like BC, the province, obviously, they had like a 25-point lead, even though it's traditionally between Ontario and British Columbia. If the Conservatives are going to be leading in one but not the other, they're going to be leading in BC but not Ontario. Both tend to be close provinces, but like the Ontario sample was generally pretty close, but then BC, the Liberals were way ahead, which is probably a big sampling error. So we can probably throw out the top line national numbers for the Liberals, but still, even with this poll that I think gave the Liberals a national 6 point lead, probably because of that sampling error, even with the sampling error, look, Mark Carney job approval rating is now at 47%, disapproval is at 41%. So he's only at a +6 net approval rating. He dropped 6 points since the last time Leger did a poll, which I believe was only a couple of weeks ago. So he's gone from, and remember, this was probably collected, or it says it was collected on October 5th. This was before he capitulated to Trump on trade. And he did it in the worst possible way. There was a way of negotiating this out to try and come to a win-win, except he basically deliberately did not negotiate until the very last second where he had to, and then he basically guaranteed that Canada got a terrible deal. So his approval rating went from 53% last time, and his disapproval was only at, what was it, like 37? And now it's 41 for the disapproval and only 47 for the approval. Again, I thought it was going to be difficult to get this guy under 50% because, well, he's the elbows up guy. He's boring, but he's a nice dude. I've heard people who've met him. Mark Carney's nice. And that's not a virtue when we want good policy, but at that base level, if people meet him, if people see him on TV, they're probably not going to assume this is some cranky old man, some curmudgeon who's like, hates people or whatever. Maybe he does, but at least he doesn't come across like that in person. And even still, the policy, the performance has been so bad that it's starting to affect even the most boring man in the government's approval. But now let's move on to some other stuff. The Conservatives have been really hammering them on this deal, of course, because my goodness, there's not any blood to squeeze out of the stone for the Liberals, so the Conservatives might as well just keep attacking. There's no silver lining for it. Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre says Americans used to invest more in Canada than we did there. Then the Liberals took power, raised taxes, blocked projects, and over half a trillion of net investment has fled. Now Carney is saying he wants to push $1 trillion south with no gains in return. That means lost jobs, lower wages, and higher prices. It doesn't necessarily mean that, but at the very least, it's demonstrating economic weakness that so much money is willing to go to the US because you just can't make a dollar in Canada. And he's showing the chart back here where, yes, back when it was 2006 and 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, you would see the red bar, which is investment from America into Canada, was higher, even if it wasn't by a lot, than the black bar below, which is Canadian investment into the United States. And you can see the yellow line showing the net overall effect. And in 2015, after Trudeau takes over, Canadian investment mostly starts shifting towards America and not America going the other way. And we are all the way down at the point where we are well past $500 billion of Canadian investment. that has at one point moved towards the United States. It's oh my goodness, it's so bad. And the thing is, do you know how we could solve all this, boys and girls? We could cut taxes. What a concept. We could cut taxes. We could cut regulations. We could make it that if someone's doing something, they're doing something productive. They're machining something, they're making a new product. We could maybe not kick down the doors of their office and say, "Hey, can you give us basically half of what you're making right now in taxes? Hey, could you stop doing that for a second so somebody could fiddle with your process and regulate you into being inefficient?" Could we do that? And that's just the way in Canada. We just do not the people in government don't even think about the guy who's trying to, make the new like hot product, the person who's trying to innovate with a new app, who's trying to start his own tech company, who's trying to get into better resource development. All those people are hampered because a government bureaucrat needs to have their fingers in the pie, or else else could they justify their job without screwing with you? But now I want to jump down. Let's at least let the liberals talk a bit. I always like highlighting what the liberals post online because it really demonstrates what kind of rhetorical straitjacket they're currently in based by their own decisions. Prime Minister Mark Carney here says, this is a post from yesterday, there are areas where Canada and the United States can compete and areas where we are stronger together. We're focused on building that strength to create new opportunities for businesses, workers, and their families. And then it comes with this 29-second video where they're trying so hard to make this trade deal look like it was a success.
We're going to be talking about.
Well, there's not even a deal made. They just talk. But the thing is, what he's already put on the table is absurd.
Trade. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things, but we've had a very strong relationship.
We are the second largest trading partner of the United States. We are the largest foreign investor in the United States. There are areas where we compete, and it's in those areas where we have to come to an agreement that works. But there are more areas where we are stronger together, and that's what we're focused on. And we're going to get the right deal. Right deal for America, right deal for Canada.
We're going to be talking.
Remember the elbows up rhetoric that he's out there to fight for Canadians and that's all he cares about. And then in that clip, when he was in the office with Trump, he's saying, "Let's make sure we get the right deal for America and Canada." And by the way, I agree, but this wasn't the campaign rhetoric. This was not the elbows up rhetoric. And in fact, he's not getting a good deal for Canada. If he cared about getting one, he would have tried to go for this win-win deal months ago, rather than screwing around to the point where he doesn't really have many cards to play at this point. We didn't offer to get rid of supply management because he, of course, still needs his Quebec dairy farmer vote and also Ontario, but most of the quota ends up disproportionately going to Quebec. But he needs all these people, so he won't actually try and protect our entire economy by getting rid of this stupid protectionist policy that in fact makes things like dairy and chicken products, poultry products, more expensive for Canadians. But now let's jump down to another post of Mark Carney. Here's another one where he's talking about building the country stronger, everyone. He's going to build the country stronger.
Our message to young Canadians, our message to people who are thinking of going into, for example, the skilled trades, is we are not just going to create hundreds of thousands of jobs, we're going to create hundreds of thousands of careers. We are going to build this country for the next 3 decades. If you want to go into the skilled trades, you are going to have work all the way through.
Who shot this where they didn't tell him, "Can we roll the tape back, Mark, so that you don't twice in the video?" It's a 20-second video and he couldn't nail it without an And what is that? Oh, we're not just building jobs in the trades, we're building careers. It's oh wow, my heart's fluttering, Mark. My heart's fluttering. You took the difference between the word job and then you said, "No, it's not just gonna be a job. It's gonna be a career." It's okay, well, job numbers are down, idiot. What are you talking about? Guys, I have a plan to do something that my government has been completely incompetent to do at this point, including back when I was the economic advisor to Justin Trudeau. Here's now Mark Carney devolving into just offering money to people. Remember how we were going to spend less to invest more? Well, now Mark Carney wants to increase benefits to families.
And then they will receive all the benefits to which they're entitled. In the case of the example I just gave, that's more than $25,000 for their family. Canada's new government will start pre-filing tax returns in the 2026 tax year, scaling up to that 5.5 million number of low-income Canadians by the 2028 tax year. This program will pay out hundreds of millions of dollars in benefits in the next few years that would otherwise be left unclaimed, helping our most vulnerable get the supports that they need.
So we are going to now expand the availability of benefits to the point where in the next few years, we are going to be paying out hundreds of billions of dollars more. You know what we could do, which is the best anti-poverty program? I said it at the beginning of the video. We could lower taxes. That's all we need to do. But like we have these idiots who think that the only way we're ever going to have prosperity is the government signing a check to somebody. But now let's just get to question period from today. I just want to play at least one of the exchanges. This just wrapped up about an hour ago to demonstrate genuinely just the poor footing the Liberal government is on. They know they're going down right now. They know that there's nothing good on the horizon that people are looking forward to at the moment.
The Honourable Member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Liberal policies are causing a deepening youth unemployment crisis, leaving the next generation in an increasing state of desperation. Today's unemployment numbers show a further spike in youth unemployment, now up to 14.7% and approaching 500,000 unemployed Canadian youth. Youth unemployment was already at recession levels before these further increases. Liberals promise change, but their broken promises are pushing yet more young people out of work. Do they understand that these unemployment numbers aren't just hurting youth today, but are setting them up for more struggle and pain throughout their lives?
The Honourable Parliament Secretary of State for Youth.
Mr. Speaker, let's talk about those jobs numbers today. Statistics Canada reported that employment has increased by 60,000 jobs. That is 28,000 jobs in manufacturing, 14,000 new jobs in healthcare, 106,000 full-time jobs.
What is she doing with her hands here? No doubt we ended up increasing manufacturing and healthcare jobs. We dumped billions of dollars into them in order to just hire more people. And what do they mean by healthcare, though? Because we still have healthcare professional shortages everywhere. I guarantee this is just some sort of like, oh, we've hired assistants, we've hired people to do like healthcare adjacent jobs. There's some janitors in some hospitals. Like, oh, we got 60,000 jobs. Well, we were losing jobs in previous quarters, so I guess this is nice. Or previous months that we had net losses in jobs. Oh, I can't believe the government took the money it takes people, the crazy amount of money that the government takes in tax dollars, and now it's given it to a few select industries and said, can you just hire people? That's not actually creating more productivity. Will they create some productivity? Sure, but it's extremely inefficient, and it will eventually, the wheels will fall off the car.
Jobs, Mr. Speaker. We have a plan, we are making progress, and we are going to be there to create good-paying, career-starting jobs for all Canadians.
The Honourable Member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Mr. Speaker, only an out-of-touch Liberal would try to congratulate themselves when we have a significant increase in youth unemployment in this country. These are the facts. Over 17,000 young people in Ontario.
Oh, by the way, I wonder if they actually calculate the TFW numbers into the new jobs. Oh, we've hired 60,000 people. How many of them aren't even Canadian? Like, I'd like to know how many of them didn't come back. Like, how many of them got off a plane from Amritsar, and now they are an employed person in Canada, when in fact it's actually causing somebody who is, below the age of 30 to not actually have a job. Like, this is something that needs to be asked.
Alone lost their jobs in the last month. Overall unemployment remains at 17.1% and continues to increase in major cities, including the city where that parliamentary secretary is supposed to represent. How can these Liberals dare try to pat themselves on the back when Statistics Canada today shows even more young people out of work?
Very good.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, let's deal in facts here. These jobs numbers are for September. At the end of a summer, many youth are actually leaving jobs, going back to school, back to other work. But coming back to what the Liberal government is doing, we're investing $1 billion, for example, in Red Seal trades for apprenticeships. We're investing in work-integrated learning. We're investing in co-ops, Mr. Speaker. But most importantly, we are going to be building the houses and investing in the project.
She has the most dramatic hand movements of anyone I've seen so far. She keeps like posing and like moving like she's like a 2D animated character that they didn't work too hard on.
Projects that are going to create tens of thousands of jobs for all Canadians right across the country, beginning with our young people.
No, member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Mr. Speaker, the Parliamentary Secretary said these numbers might reflect young people leaving the workforce to go back to school. That suggests she doesn't actually understand how the unemployment rate is calculated, because the unemployment rate is the percentage of those in the workforce who are trying to work and aren't able to. And the unemployment rate has gone up. It's approaching 15%, approaching 500,000 young people who are unemployed. That's 1 in 7. Mr. Speaker, it's time for the government to stop trying to pat themselves on the back and recognize that this is a crisis for Canadian young people. It's time for them to reverse course. When will they?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, the data doesn't lie. In September, we created over 100,000 new full-time jobs in this country. Those are good jobs for all Canadians. We are embarking on a plan that is going to not only build projects, but build homes, make those homes more affordable.
They haven't approved a single job yet. They're just looking at projects. Or yeah, like what the heck's wrong with you people? Like we brought in 100,000 new jobs. I'm like, okay, how many private sector jobs did we lose though? Because the problem is the government can create. Also, wait, I'm just thinking of saying now. Aren't all these ministries supposed to be cutting staff or cutting personnel expenses or whatnot by like 15%? So what are we doing? We're creating a bunch of government jobs, but then all these ministries are supposed to be cutting their budgets by 15%. Are we even doing that anymore? Or is this just going to be still more Justin Trudeau era style economics, where we just keep dumping money into an industry, hoping that will make us look good by the next election before everything falls apart again? Ugh. Anyways, well, we have just peered into the gaping maw that is our elementary politics on a federal level. No doubt we will look at it someday soon again. But I have to jump on a plane at some point here and go to my next destination, which is not even home. It is Saskatoon. No doubt I will still be making videos there, but this is all very hectic. So, hey, if you support the show, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, hit the subscribe button if you're not yet a subscriber. You can also hit the notification bell next to the subscribe button if you always want to be notified whenever a new video comes out. And then, of course, leave a comment on what you think. It's always great to hear what people think, and I like to scroll through and reply to a select group of people, because, of course, if I have like 400 comments, it's hard to get back to everybody. But anyways, with that being said, see you guys all later.